Happy Sunday. Happy post TNA wrestling weekend Sunday. As you could probably see from my social media post, went to night 2 of my 2-night extravaganza covering TNA Impact Hard to Kill last night, and then Snake Eyes, which was their television tapings tonight. And you can kind of see it behind me. I bought out the big 16-pounder. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Man, this motherfucker's heavy. You don't realize just how heavy it is until you're walking around an arena with it and standing in line with it and moving around with it. It needs to sit its ass right up there on that shelf. But it was cool to have around. And it, like I said, the 3 belts you can kind of see back here, it is by far heavier than any of them. When I met Okada tonight, who basically made that, him and Tanahashi made that belt famous, he lifted it up and said, "Oh, it's heavy." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you should know because you carried it a lot of ways." So let me bring in the non-wrestling person. No, I'm just
kidding.
Hey,
what's up, everybody? So any strobe light problems tonight?
No, but my headache from last night still carried over a little bit. But the gentleman was there's a match, and it's going to be on TV. If you guys have ASX TV or Access, whatever the channel is that they're on, but we get them on YouTube here. Will Ospreay and Josh Alexander had a match earlier this year, or last year, which could have been easily match of the year if it hadn't been for Ospreay Omega's twice, the 2 times that they did. These 2 men got together today or tonight and rematched. And once again, I hate to be hyperbolic when it comes to saying something is the best or anything. And like I said, I had to sit for a couple hours to make sure that I still felt. They put on one of the better matches I've ever seen. They put on the best live in-person match that I have ever attended. And they weren't even the main event. And this wasn't a pay-per-view. Last night was a pay-per-view. This was just a TV. You're going to see this on TV. Their match alone was worth the price of admission. And it was brutal. It was brutal. There was we on the other side of us, we couldn't see it because you'll see when I show you the pictures of where I'm sitting. They had set up a table and you're like, oh shit. Because you always worry about, because table spots can go wrong, wood shards and shit. Finley almost had his leg amputated one time because a piece of wood got shoved in his leg, and he was a tough SOB and just kept wrestling on through it, and he should have. But they don't use like the big balloon pillow things under the tables and the announcing tables like they do back. It's a table. It's a real table. You're hitting that table, and then you're hitting that. It's about this thick of padding. And I think it was Ospreay put Josh Alexander through it because we couldn't see. The sound it made was fucked up.
Wow.
This is coming from somebody I've seen 1,000 chair shots. I've seen 1,000 of these. We couldn't see it, but you could hear that whoosh. And then everybody, all the attendants and all the ring personnel got around him. And you saw the referee trying to get the signals from them, see if they were okay to go. And then he signaled to the people to start counting them out. And then they got in. And once they started moving around, I was like, but it just made like a crushing, like those were human bodies that did that. So that match was awesome. It was a bunch of near falls in it, and like I said, I've seen a lot of live wrestling, but that match, the Josh Alexander Will Ospreay match, might have been the best. And I got to meet him afterwards. I'm like, dude, it's only January 15th, and you already have a match of the year again. And he's like, yeah, we'll just hope people remember. I mean, no, they're not going to forget that shit. And I'm like, that table spot. It's like, yeah, I felt that. And you could tell he was wincing because they beat the hell out of each other in this match. I mean, you were hearing stereo claps on the chest. I'm like, and they were doing a lot of moves that ended up with them bouncing each other off their heads. And I'm like, ooh, that match was great. The Palms needs to hold more wrestling shows. That atmosphere was packed. Those people were just into it, the whole thing. Scott D'Amore, who runs TNA, he's nothing but a big wrestling fan like me. After he watched the match, he didn't even wait till the end of the show. And it's on YouTube. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put his announcement. Immediately after the match, he jumped in the ring, and it has to be an impromptu speech that he gives about the match he just saw. and he was overtaken with emotion. I mean, and he gave a speech about him watching wrestling back in his dying grandfather's room, because that was a bond that they had. And he said, I stuck with wrestling for matches like this. So I'm putting that in the chat room, and we were watching this live. And it, like I said, then the main event ended up being Okada, Motor City Machine Guns, and the System, which was Moose, Eddie Edwards, and his partner and his wife. That was a great match. That was a fun match. I mean, I got to see Okada live, which, like I said, that was on the bucket list for me. If you are a wrestling fan or a global wrestling fan, you know who Okada is. And like I said, I got my belt signed. Real quick, before we go into everything else, I'm going to go show you guys some of the images from tonight. So that's me at the beginning of the night. There's your wrestling nerds right there.
Yep.
I love the light on that belt, right? You can't see my face, which is okay, probably for the better, but I love the way the light is hitting that belt. This belt is heavy as fuck. And other people, it was funny because, and I'll put those pictures up tomorrow. Every time I bring this belt out, any of my belts out, everybody wants to pose with it. So I got a bunch of pictures on my phone from other people who wanted to pose with it. And they were trying to pay me money. Like, I think I should be, no, just hold the belt, enjoy yourself. So that was me sitting I had it in my lap. This was Dolph Ziggler. He's now Nick Nemeth. You know what? WWE gave him that shitty name. It's a porn star name, and now it's stuck in my head. But he goes by Nick Nemeth now. He came out, and this was his entrance. Pretty good spot. Somehow, some way, I ended up getting like literally. That's me. That's the ring. This is where I'm at. That's probably copyrighted music, so I don't want to brat us.
Brat us.
But this one, what else is here? That's Will Ospreay, and then as the match started, and all these seats are filled. Even these balcony seats up there, I went up to those and looked down at the ring. I'm like, dude, those seats were so good that to the right there, by where it says Impact, they're broadcasting from there. That's how good those seats were. And this is Rainmaker coming in. This is the whole reason I even went this week. And Will Ospreay. I mean, the two best wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. And then there's me getting it signed. They had tickets and everything else. It was very chaotic. You can kind of see at the top there's a signature on the belt. And the bottom, I have Jay White, who's now with AEW. That's my gift card. Go ahead and buy a gift card, but we have to change the theme on that one. But this is, I had him write his name in Japanese on the bottom and in English on the top. So yeah, what else are we doing here? But it was man. Listen, if you are into wrestling, I don't care how small the promotion is, go out and see some wrestling. This is when I first got there, and they were doing the meet and greets for the people at the ring, and I just couldn't believe what kind of seats I had. And that's my view for right there. Oh, and here's Harley Quinn two-tone comic. They're doing a lot of cool work with these two-tones. This is the first time I picked up Kill Your Darlings. I'm going to try it out. I got the other issues coming, and this is us last night with the TNA. I showed you guys this one with the TNA towels that they gave us. They didn't give us towels tonight, but man, was it a lot of fun. Like I said, I've been to a lot of wrestling shows in my time. I mean, a lot. More than I probably should have gone to, and I watched way too much wrestling. As evidenced last night, I got home with a splitting headache, or got to the office with a splitting headache. In between when I got home and when we started the overnighter, I'm watching more wrestling. And tomorrow night I'll probably skim through Raw, and then Wednesday we got stuff. So yeah, but yeah, it was a fun weekend. I got more pictures that I post up there, but those are the main ones. So if you guys would like to support the center and my indulgences, no, not kidding. All the money goes back into cool shit that we put into the show. You can use I pinned it to the top, streamlabs.com/Cypher Later on this evening, or between now and midnight, or when you probably wake up in the morning, you're going to see the graphic in the thumbnail and the event page for this Saturday afternoon's charity screening of Army of the Dead. I almost said Army of Darkness. I
You made
probably
that
got
a couple of times.
Yeah, I probably got a couple more of those screw ups left. So we got that going on, and our goal is going to be to preliminary goal is going to try to extend things to at least $7,000, and if we can get to 8, great. All this is to hopefully be at the $10,000 level. Be on April 19th when the second part comes out, and but like I said, these milestones are kind of like kind of symbolic. I mean, we get it when we get it. I'd like to get it sooner than later, but
but I mean, sometimes we get it at unexpected times, like on New Year's Eve when we got like over or close to $2,000, which again we did not have that expectation, and that we're eternally grateful to everybody who chipped in that night. Like I said, it's like I understand the people's desire for privacy, for when to remain anonymous using pseudonyms, but it's like part of me like wishes they, I knew who was behind all those names, so I could thank everybody who chipped in.
Larry, I got his Army of the Dead framed poster added to him. He was one of the major ones that helped us, so he identified himself, so I was able to get him. But there was a lot of anonymous people who dropped a lot of heavy cash that night. So hopefully we're able to do it again. So let's go ahead and hit the chat.
My dad actually, he was on New Year's Eve, but he did donate anonymously. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, let's go ahead and invite everybody in. How's it going, Aaron?
Hi, Aaron.
Lots of people in the chat.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, what's up, Spider-Man?
What's Spider-Man?
Is it Bradley?
How you doing, Bradley?
Bradley? Chappie, what's going on? Aaron's wishing you a speedy recovery from the split headache.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not as bad as last night. Like I said, we I cut a half hour off the overnighter, which I don't like to do, but that headache was like splitting. It's like turning. But this time around, I'm like I said, I still have a twinge of a headache, but not nearly
not to the extent that it was.
I couldn't even. If you look at last night's show when I did the rewatch today, you can kind of. It's really hard for me to open up my eyes. And tonight, I don't feel that kind of pressure. So, because like I said, it was a very, very powerful, and they had it on us today, but it wasn't sure. I think somebody complained. I think somebody that light was powerful, but I got to give them credit because it was their first time in that venue, and that venue is a little bit unique. In the way you would set up lights because it's a performance, it's a concert venue for the most part. So a lot of places you bring in and you'll have full surround, but they've never been there before. So I expect that they have to come back. Not only do they have to come back to that venue, AEW needs to come to that venue. Ring of Honor needs to come to that venue. Collision, some of the all that some of the shows like that because that place was rocking, man. I mean, and once they figured everything out. Like I said, you did not have a bad seat. I walked around before the event started to see if I could find a bad seat. I tried to find a bad seat. There were no bad seats. The balcony, you're like, I mean, it's such an intimate arena that the balcony, it's like, dude, I think I might be able to jump halfway to the ring. That's how close it was, and you just did not have a bad seat. So the Pearl, whoever built the Pearl, I would love to see a concert there. Because for what you pay, you're going to be able to see and hear everything you want. So I just happened to be, I got lucky with the kind of seats I got, because there was a seating issue that there were some seats that were taken up, so they opened up the floor seats, and I couldn't believe that I was that close to the action. And like I said, there were sweat flying at us. It was cool, man. All right, I digress.
Don't worry, man. Spider-Man says, have you never seen it, Chappie? HBN, he's talking about thoughts on David Ayer's Bright. Yeah, I thought it wasn't bad. I enjoyed Bright. The Netflix movie that David Ayer did where it's got Will Smith as a cop, and it's this world where it's like where fairies and kind of fairy tale creatures are sort of in the place. It's like a ghetto movie basically where there's like a gang war between different like fairy tale creatures.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I actually got to interview a couple of. They did an anime follow up to that. I got to interview a couple of the people on the anime team for that about a year and a half ago, and they spoke pretty highly of David Ayer because I asked what kind of guidance or mandates or anything. What role did he play in this? And they said he basically said, yeah, just just have Edis. This is all yours. So. Yeah, David Ayer, it's like, yeah, the media, they just love to pick on him, as I said there.
But he's well respected within the industry, though. That's the thing.
Well, he's well respected after this weekend, as Daniel Martin says, because BB had a pretty awesome opening weekend.
How much did it cost to make Beekeeper?
Let me look that up. Because again, it's like you'll definitely see a lot of comparisons and reviews and reactions to John Wick. Not just because of just the pedigree of action movie that it is, but also
it doesn't give it to me on Wikipedia.
It doesn't say that on Wikipedia. Okay,
I don't think it could have cost. It made $22 million. Yeah. I don't think it cost. I mean, because he's the biggest name actor in there. Yeah. Oh no, you got Jeremy Irons. Oh wow, never mind. No,
you got. Well, she's only in it for like a couple of minutes.
Jeremy Irons, Academy Award winner. I don't recognize anybody else though.
Yeah, they got the kid who was PETA in Hunger Games.
Okay,
so I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking maybe like 30, 40 million, something like that. So it's not like a massively expensive thing, but yeah, it's
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, and like I said, you'll see a lot of comparisons with John Wick, not just because of the pedigree of action movie that it is, but also it's like the whole beekeeper profession that it kind of sets up is a it's established in a similar way as like the kind of assassins that we see in John Wick, or a very John Wick-esque kind of movie. So when you see it, you know what I'm talking about.
It beat its projections. It was only expected to pull in 17 and 19 million, and it made 22 million. So
yeah, I think it might be my favorite one of his. David Ayers is the Beekeeper now, and I'm so down for Beekeeper too after this. So it's like, even a lot of the good reviews. I mean, people are give it a backhand of compliments where they say it's like, oh, it's the perfect dumb kind of January movie, or they'll still take swipes at Suicide Squad with him. It's like Zack Snyder, a lot of the media hates, and then David Ayer, they just like the bully.
I don't know if they hate us or they hate us. I think they really hate us, but you know what?
Yeah, but I mean, it's another reason why it's like aside from like on a personal level wanting to see it, it's like really hoping Ayer gets to release his cut of Suicide Squad, because it's like just seeing him get kicked around like so much like this, I just feel for the guy.
I feel for him too, but his best chance is to get it on the 10th year anniversary.
Yeah.
As much as I know a lot of people wanted it, I've been saying forever that unless there was just no business reason to happen, there's no reason. There's no reason to do it.
Yeah, you need a marketing hook or a business hook, and like the 2026, the 10-year, that has a built-in kind of thing that you could ride on.
Or like I said, if you're going to deal with the other pieces of the puzzle, but if you're not, you're just throwing this one out there. And like I said, I don't know if it's kicked around as much as it just wasn't. It just wasn't going to happen, and there was no reason for it to happen. Wanting something to happen, and there are reasons being out, and I just want to see it is not a good reason. That's real money, that's real, space being taken up, and like I said, fanboy logic is not enough for it. If you're going to tell the whole story that was leading up to, then you got a business reason to do it. Otherwise, you leave well enough alone as far as they're concerned. The one that they released made them a huge profit. In their eyes, they don't need to go back, and they don't need a redo. Fans need a redo, but we're not paying for shit. So
that might be like our best vector for it is 2026. So everybody, I guess, prep for that to kind of whatever we want. And actually, I was kind of thinking about that too. This maybe broaches band topics slightly, but I have been meaning to ask this because this kind of relates to what you said about the 10-year anniversary, or the anniversary angle of something presents a built-in marketing or business case to revisit something or to do something new or something like that. And I was kind of thinking, as far as like an anniversary time, I'm not going to drop certain terms because it's going to set the chatter crazy and people are clip me out too, probably roast me or something like that. But as far as like, would that also apply to JL as far as like anniversary? Like we could do something new with this, like in 2027 or 2031, where it's like,
anything is possible, but there's so much time in between them
Yeah.
that a whole bunch of stuff. That's really, I wouldn't even think about that right now. It's so far away. It's just so far away. You don't know. We don't know where we're going to be, who's going to be running things, how any of these movies are going to do, where DC's going to be. I mean, it's hard for me to care about July 2025.
Yeah.
Now you're asking me to care about 2027.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, just that thought popped in my head when you
Oh, they're
like,
definitely going to re-release it when it comes out. I mean, or in 2031, you're definitely going to get a 10-year anniversary release. That's money.
Well, technically they have 2 10-year anniversaries with the. I mean, I know 2017. That's not the good 10-year anniversary.
They're not doing with 217 though. There's just too much bad publicity that goes to 217. Right now, the best you could do for 2017 movies is keep it in circulation so that it gets people into the genre. But it's nothing to celebrate. It's something to use to get people into your superhero movies, but it's nothing to celebrate or commemorate. So I doubt. I mean, anything is possible. But I doubt because it was then you have to bring up all the shit that went around it. And nobody wants to talk about that.
So, but yeah, that kind of entered my head when you talked about it with Suicide Squad as far as like the 10-year anniversary for that. It's the best avenue. I thought, maybe there could be something there as far as JL related, but of course,
well, see, the thing about it is we got JL.
Yeah,
we got the version of JL. So they're definitely going to probably do something. But like I said, in not much time, you could have somebody that's favorable to all this stuff by then. So I'm just going to leave time to come up with that one.
Yeah,
but
all this,
guys, I've been saying this the whole time. The likelihood of you getting an haircut was always slim because there was no reason to do it other than fanboys wanting to see it. And once again, that's not real as far as a corporation is concerned. You were never going to get that movie. And it sucks that, it got to the point that, James Gunn was trying to help him get it. But even then, even with James Gunn's influence, there's just no reason for it to do it, for no reason to release it. There was a reason to release the Snyder Cut. Because
of HBO Max, yeah,
and you're talking about dealing with some of your heaviest IPs that you have and doing them proper. You're talking about the Suicide Squad, and then you had another one come after it. It's just like I said, I'm sad for him that he ever thought this was going to happen, because I've been saying that it wasn't going to happen, or it wasn't going to happen anytime soon, because there was no need for it to. Yeah. I feel bad for him because he seems like a generally pretty good guy.
Yeah. Well, again, hopefully, excuse me, hopefully that 10-year anniversary might open that window. But he, of course, said as far as this weekend goes with the Beekeeper, he's definitely got plenty of reason to have a smile on his face for that, and he's very well deserved, because the Beekeeper kicks all kinds of ass. I could definitely see this becoming continuing with Statham's character and the Beekeeper too, and I'm sure Ayer would be game for that. But as far as like everything we laid out about business cases and waiting periods and for stuff we want, of course, as we all know, it's all my fault.
There you go.
So yeah, I know I was tiptoeing into band topic, but I had that thought in my head. I did want to kind of get that out real quick, so I thought that was a good opportunity to do that. So now I'll move it back into the comments. Let's see, Ruth, how's it going?
Hi, Ruth.
Clint also says, I can't wait to watch the new True Detective.
Oh man, it looks great.
I never watched True Detective.
Was that tonight that there? Is that next week? I've been so bottled up with this wrestling thing I was doing. Hold on, I'm gonna look. I have Max in front of me right now, because
I never watched True Detective, to be honest, and I haven't even seen like when Ray Fisher appeared, and I think it was season 3.
He was in season 2.
Oh, season, okay, yeah, and it wasn't like me like being averse to it. It just wasn't something I ever dove into.
The first one had Matthew McConaughey, and then Woody Harrelson, and then the second one had Mahershala Ali, and that's the one that Ray Fisher. And then
our future maybe Blade.
So let's see. I'm just trying to see if did it premiere tonight. Oh, yes, it did. Yes, it did. Oh, we're on 4 seasons of True Detective. I'm sorry. No, we're not on 4. HBO, stop doing this. you don't have 4 seasons. You have. Well, hold on, because season one was Matthew McConaughey. Oh, never mind. I forgot season 2 because it was good. It was good. It wasn't as good as it's the one with Penguin in it. Season 3 was the. You're right. You were right. Season 3 was Mahershala Ali. Season 2 was. I think a lot of the problem season 2 was because season 1 was epic. Yeah, I remember this one. The disappearance of the city manager. I need to watch all these again. Season 1 was like groundbreaking, especially if you like Alexandria Daddario. Definitely got to see all of her there.
Yeah.
Very controversial bondage scene.
But yeah, I had also Mahershala Ali. Is he the regular on the show, or is he just
no? Each one of them is a different.
Okay, so it's kind of an anthology. Okay, so he was
year 1. Year Colin Farrell was in year 2. Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson was in year 1. Mahershala Ali was year 3, and then now you have Jodie Foster. You literally have 3 of the 4 seasons were headed by Academy Award winners.
Yeah. And again, like, and True Detective treated him better than Blade has. Do you what kind of what would you say? What kind of odds would you with the over under on like? Because we're coming up now on 5 years since this got announced.
It'll get done. It'll get done. It should have been done, but you're not gonna see Blade get canceled. But and I still think he'll.
Well, I don't mean get canceled. I mean that he might walk.
I don't think he walks. I think he wants to be a part of all this. If he were going to walk, he would have walked already when it was a lot more disorganized than it is now.
Well, apparently he came close to like he threatened.
Yeah, he came close. That's what made the switch. That's what made them say, "Okay, we gotta
get this under control." Yeah,
because if he walks, that's a bad look.
And listen, I mean,
he's not some bit actor. This is a 2-time Academy winner. So.
Well, and listen, I get we ran into. To be fair, we ran into a pandemic in the middle of all that. So like anything that was announced but wasn't like actively had already gotten started, like, okay, I'll give a cushion or I'll give like a year of like breathing room on that as far as like any kind of delay. But we're coming up at 5 years.
Well, most of those years, like I said, whenever they plan movies like that and they say they give these announcements, most of the time it's bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem I had, it was 6 weeks before production was about to start.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the big one. The other ones, your things get delayed. Pre-production delays, I'm not a big stickler for because I know shit happens. But once you've got everything in place and you're 6 weeks out from shooting and you have a delay, that to me tells me that your planning was not really good going up to that point. So hopefully it sounds like it's gotten better.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's gotten better and they're going forward.
Well, hopefully,
to me personally, I don't need a Blade movie to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't need the first one. Stop giving me all this mid-range shit. Get me to Spidey. Get me to Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny. Get me to whatever version of the X-Men you're going to spit out. Let's get to that. All this other shit, dude.
I just realized, too, also, like, if he had walked, with the point where he threatened, it's like his only contribution to the MCU to that point would have been his voice cameo at the end of Eternals.
Yeah.
Which how just embarrassing would that have been?
That's why it didn't happen. See, DC allows shit for that to happen. Feige, and he with little control he had at that time, because remember, he was still under Chapek under that. And I think a lot of this upheaval and stuff that's gone south and sideways has been because Chapek mismanaged things by putting too many people in between himself and Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige lost a lot of his power when Bob Iger stepped down the first time. And a lot of these production errors and stuff comes from that schematic. I think now that Bob Iger's come back in and consolidated everything back to the way it was. I think that's why you're seeing different decision making made. That's why you're seeing Daredevil redone. That's why you're seeing Blade finally pick up. Its normal pace. So I think they're in a better spot than they were under Chapek. Chapek just wasn't the right guy for the job.
Yeah, but man, just. It's become their Flash. Blade has become his.
But it's become their Flash after $30 billion in success. DC has a Flash after not $30 billion of success.
Well, not only that, but also like having like a previous iteration of the character is very well received.
Nobody's the MCU people that are the market right now wouldn't know that movie if it parted their head. It's 20 years ago, dude.
I'm going to have a get off my lawn moment with some of these younger fans. I'm sorry.
Well, no, but if you were born the day that Blade was released, you're literally 26 years old right now. You've grown up watching all your comic book movies have pretty much come through DCU or MCU. You're probably, I mean, like I said, you might have seen Blade, but it doesn't mean anything to you like, MCU Blade's going to mean to you. It's like it's two different things. Like, one of them's a Wesley Snipes movie that just happens to be about a vampire that nobody knew who the fuck was back in 1998, and the other one will be part of a massive global multi-billion-dollar train. So it's just the regard is. I don't think, like I said, a lot of people are going to. For them, the first Blade they see is going to be Mahershala Ali.
Well, we got actually a couple of zingers here in the comments about we brought up the Blade. Reyes says, "You think Blade was being directed by Todd McFarlane? It's going."
I mean, here's the thing. The problem with Blade, like I said, is you had too much red tape in between Kevin Feige and the actual process. And, the people who had handled MCU all up to that point had people put over them that weren't there before. At least those people were filmmakers. Todd McFarlane's problem is he's not a filmmaker.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That's what's holding his deal up. He needs to put it in the hands of filmmakers and then let it in. His job is done. His job is done. He created the character. He created what the character's supposed to be. At this point, he's an advisor. He just needs to be an advisor.
Yeah, I think so too. And Spider-Man actually has a really good point too about Blade. Now that the Netflix shows have been officially canonized, they're not doing the arm's length kind of relationship they previously had. But William Brad, Luke Cage is canon now. Ali is the villain of he's Cottonmouth in Luke Cage. If Ali walks from Blade, he's still part of the MCU. By the way, Ali is amazing in his role. Yes, he is, and that's actually
I don't think we'll ever see him in that role again.
I don't think so either. But that does raise that raises some interesting questions where it's like this is the rare this is I'm kind of double dipping on somebody playing multiple characters in their connected universe. Now it's not the first time they've done it. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is in both Guardians 2 and Shang-Chi, so there's precedent for that.
There's a different level of precedent as far as the actual character. One of them's a character a role that he took at the time, and the other one's a major character. He'll never play Cottonmouth again, so it doesn't matter if it's canon or not. You're never going to see him in that role again. So, as far as like I said, it would be different if Cottonmouth is a Z-list character from the Serpent Society that I remember as a kid. So it would be different if we were talking about two major characters at the same level. And even then, actors have done that before, but you'll never see Cottonmouth again.
That's the one and done. Actually, by the way, what are your thoughts on this too? Because I remember Quentin Tarantino, his reaction to the Luke Cage series was I forget how this came out, but he was asked like how he would have done it, and he said he would have done it he would have done it in the 70s. It would have taken place in the 70s. I was like, okay, that could have been. I
mean, that's where the character comes from, but it doesn't. The problem with that is it doesn't line up with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, you can't have you couldn't connect him with other characters. I doubt you could establish his relationship with Iron Fist or with the other street level characters. So you are kind of placing him on his own island if you do it that way. But
and those street level characters that were around in the 70s too. I mean, Iron Fist, those guys were around in the 70s. The Defenders were around in the late 70s, early 80s. So I don't think we're ever going to see a Defenders again. And most of those characters, even though they are canonized, I don't think you're going to see them again. I think you're going to see a handful. We're going to get lucky to get, the ones that we're getting, but the rest of them may not fit with what,
Okay, how about this? Do you see that this maybe this could happen as maybe if not as Defenders, but maybe not like individual shows necessarily. Although I definitely want Iron Fist season 3, and I definitely want more Colleen Wing. But could you see maybe them doing like a Heroes for Hire?
No,
series? No.
No, I don't think these characters. Like I said, I just don't know if the appeal of these characters is as high as it was for Daredevil and his immediate and Daredevil and Punisher. Once you start branching out from them, I don't see Disney doing it because they're trying to downsize on their shows to begin with, and those characters you're not making movies about them. So I don't see those characters becoming, even if they're canon, you might see those characters again, but I don't see them getting their own shows. Not with the state that Disney's in with trying to consolidate their shows and get back to limiting their TV shows and focusing more on their feature content. I just see those.
Well, I think the way they have each of them. I think that was a smart move to begin with, having all of them, the Netflix characters that they were doing shows of them rather than movies. I thought that worked best for all of them because some characters they're just better suited for.
You get more time. You get more time to develop them.
Level more episodic storytelling, and that I thought that really suited Iron Fist and Luke Cage and even Punisher really well.
But you're going to take them two attractive ones out of that lot and go forward with them because they're going in a different direction. It sounds like, as far as like making TV shows and series format and everything else, they're just going in a different direction. I think they picked what they wanted out of that lot, and that's what you're going forward with. And I would, like I said, I would expect to see some of these characters as guest characters, but I don't know. Could be wrong, but I don't. Just judging from where Disney, the announcements and stuff that they've made, I don't see them going in that direction. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be they're kind of testing the
waters.
Plus,
some of the shows weren't very good.
Season 1, I'll agree with.
Yeah, but it's not baseball. You don't get second. If you have a limited amount of time to make your mark on those things, and they're not going to. Like I said, there are shows that don't even get through a full fourth season.
Actually, I didn't get to Jessica Jones as much. Season 1 I thought was pretty good, but season after that I didn't get as much into Jessica Jones.
And it's just how much value
after
are you
Defenders.
Getting? How much value are you getting for these shows? I don't know. I just don't see it. But like I said, where's the room for it?
I mean, like I said, they could also, this might with Daredevil, that might also be them kind of, because there has been, a passage of time too with all the characters, including him, and of course he's had, one cameo that was in one of the biggest movies ever made, and one supporting role that didn't go down too well in one of their streaming shows. So it could also be them, with, especially because Punisher is also going to be in it. They might also be kind of testing the waters of like, what's the viability of reviving these characters beyond who we have in there. They might like name drop some of them. They might have some of the pop up in cameos. Who knows?
I'd say they might pop up as cameos. I think they should leave those shows dead. Take Punisher, take Daredevil, take the two most popular, most relevant ones, and you take their supporting characters and use them in those shows, but don't go making, we don't need another Iron Fist.
Yeah, well, it's going to be like Steel last night. If it goes my way, I'm going to be an insufferable pain in the ass.
The math is on my side, just like it was last night. You're probably going to get people fired just by bringing up a Steel motion picture. You can get away with bringing up Steel on WB because no one hears that conversation. More people are hearing that conversation because of Superman and Lois than all before. But like I said, with the CW is like, okay, a tree falls in a forest and there's nobody there. Does it make a sound? And that's pretty much what the CW's been. You can do stuff on CW that you would get fired for trying to do on a big screen or on a big budget. I just like just the mere mention, hey, what do you think about a Steel thing? And like I said, they're going to start, they're going to start giving you hints, and hopefully you pick up on that. Hey, why don't we change the subject? Or
well, at least I'm not leading in with a Steel movie. I'm saying put him up with Superman first.
No,
I'm not doing like they did in '97.
No.
97.
Your best bet is James Gunn because he could do some crazy shit like that. Your best bet is a guy who actually thinks JLI is good. That's your best bet for getting Steel on there because JLI is filled with a bunch of meaningless and worthless characters, and Steel, fits the bill. So,
better than Guy Gardner.
Yeah, well, neither one. I can if the choice is Guy Gardner or Steel, then neither. I abstain.
No, I keep saying it. If you polled everybody on this planet, ask them who their favorite Green Lantern is, there is no way in the world that Guy Gardner wins that.
You're not even going to know who Guy Gardner is.
Exactly. And the people who do know are going to say it's like, not our favorite Lanterns. It's going to be
the idiot with the Mo Sepler haircut.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be either Hal or it's going to be John, and I think probably John would probably top that.
Well, John, because you got the cartoon people that they used him more than they used Hal Jordan.
Yeah, it's kind of a generational thing, depending on what people like who your default Green Lantern is. Whether it's if the older you are, it's probably going to be Hal, and if you're a little bit younger, it's probably going to be John. And then it would really be John.
I have no problem with it being John because that was a very important character for us.
Yeah. Well, and of course, then it would tilt even more for John Stewart if we actually got the Green Lantern cameo that was filmed.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna go back in the chat here, see how much I've stirred up the pot with all my talk about Marvel, Netflix, and Steel. I'll bring this one up real quick. Do you think be a Grant Ayer a funeral viewing with his cuts in the back? I would. No. I know. I just don't see the point in doing that if you're not going to release it.
Yeah, they did a funeral viewing for Batgirl to pretty much prove a point in their opinion of how bad it was, and then they moved on from it. If they're not gonna, there's no point that they're trying to prove with the Ayer cut. They have no intention of releasing it. And if, like I said, not to side with them, you guys got to, people who want it are going to have to come up with a better reason than I want to see it. That's obviously you see how that goes.
Well, we've got our best shot in terms of marketability. We got 2 years to make that case, I guess.
And who knows what kind of case you'll be able? You might be able to make a better one in 2 years.
Aaron. Remember when we were talking about this? This is a good one. Aaron dropped. Did you hear that dude that jumped up judge in Las Vegas? I'd imagine he could be because that was a stupid decision he made.
He's not going to face life in prison, but he's going to face significant. He was going to get 18 months. He was about to sentence him to 18 months, which is,
and he just made it probably 18 years.
I'd say he's probably going to get 5 to 10. He's not going to get that much. It's an assault charge.
But again,
you're going to have a hard
had.
Yeah, it's longer than the 18 months. He's just, dude, do your 18 months. And you know what? Our prison system out here is crowded. You probably would have got out a lot sooner than that. You needed to act like a fool and go jumping over the thing. That's assault right there. Assault on a protected official, which is a judge. So, yeah, he's probably going to do about 10 years. And it's probably going to be a hard 10 years.
What made you think that was going to go the way you wanted it to? I mean,
you got to realize he's a criminal. He wasn't thinking to begin with.
Yeah, he couldn't have been thinking rationally in that moment.
Yeah, that's just dumb. But yeah, he's gonna do some time.
I didn't know this. Yeah, did they add attempted
murder? They add attempted murder?
That's news to me.
I know we were watching because they were outside the courtroom on the news, and they said that definitely assault, first degree assault on a protected official was the term. I don't know. I didn't know if it was I got to look it up. I got so sick of seeing that video because I live here and every news. The judge. I mean, I saw that video fucking 5 times for an hour. I'm like, oh, geez. Then they had him coming in the thing. They had the little spit shield over his face. They had him chained by the neck. I mean, he looked like a fucking dog on a leash when they brought him in the next day because he refused to come back the following day. So they had to reschedule. He's like, I don't want to be in court. And finally, she just put a court order and said, "Hey, let's go drag his ass out there." Yeah,
that's not how you handle that situation at all.
Nah, like I said, he was. I mean, 18 months. I mean, I forgot what he was even up for. That's the sad thing is you can't. You just
whatever he was up for, it wasn't as bad of a charge as what he's up for now.
Nah, assaulting a judge is gonna do it for you all the time. Hitting a cop or assaulting a judge, that's good. That's probably going to add a couple of years on to whatever the fuck it is you did. However dumb it is that what you did was, trust me, you go swinging at a badge or a judge, you can just forget about it.
Yeah, you got to think these things through.
TV, they got to make an example out of your ass now. Yeah, there you go.
And you got to think these things through when you're in court. I know it can, if you're getting sentenced, it can be very emotional.
Every one of those bailiffs and marshals in there, come on, guys.
Yeah,
I know he jumped. You can't have that happen. You cannot let that happen. You cannot let him get that close to a judge. I mean, damn, you're right there. So, oh well.
Yeah. Dennis the Menace says, "Theo group with Dolph Lundgren Punisher." Yeah, I've seen that movie. Actually hasn't been.
It's not a bad vigilante movie. It's just a bad Punisher movie.
Yeah. Well, it's again they remove a lot of the icon. I mean, he's only got the skull on the hilt of his knife. So
yeah. And they really didn't want to make that movie.
But, well, that was back during the period also, where actually looking at the making of the Thomas Jane and the Ray Stevenson ones. Actually, it's surprising how much of a battle those had just to get the skull on his shirt.
Yeah, and that skull is very polarizing because a lot of political used it. You know, a lot of blue line type groups have used it, and it's ironic because the Punisher hates cops. He hates cops. He's not. He hates the system. He hates authority. He sees the policing, the modern day policing, as a failure to society. And so a lot of cops, were wearing that symbol, and that's why he changed that symbol to that goat thing he had for a while, which is dumb. That symbol for Punisher has been around since the 70s. Amazing Spider-Man 129, Punisher first appeared, had the skull. Mike Zeck made it even better during the Punisher miniseries. But the Punisher is a pretty touchy character to deal with, because if you're writing him correctly, like Larry Hama wrote him, he's killing people. He's killing people, sometimes in mass. The very first issue of the Klaus Janson Punisher series that came out, he's scaling a building with a bazooka, and there's a bunch of people making flammable drugs inside, and he bazookas them, blows up the whole thing. He's shooting people at point blank.
Yeah,
he's a killer. He's a former Marine captain, infantry captain. You know,
and he kills bad guys indiscriminately. Is the thing. It's like he doesn't. It's not like a last resort, or like I had.
That is the mission. That is the mission.
Yeah,
is to eliminate.
Like a Punisher movie. This is, I guess, maybe a hidden advantage of a Punisher movie. It's like you're not going to have to deal with 10 years of debating whether or not Superman should have broken Zod's neck. Because it's like that's because I mean, Punisher, like he would have done like far worse than that. Like he would have done it way sooner in the fight.
The Kingpin, I think, went to Daredevil for help when the Punisher came after him, because the Punisher didn't give a fuck. Punisher was just, they'd come after him, and he's a sniper. I mean, he would just pick them off. I mean, he was so skilled, and he fought, and like I said, he's a Spider-Man villain. He first came out in Spider-Man, but he's more of a Daredevil fit, and that's a lot of things with a lot of Spider-Man's villains end up being better fits for Daredevil because of Hell's Kitchen and environment.
Yeah, well, that's what I love too in season 2 when they have their argument on top of the roof. That's so good because that's some awesome TV. That dialogue during that art and that their point of view coming from both of them, because like I said, Daredevil is not on the up and up all the time, Yeah, but he doesn't default to just
he doesn't
massacring guys.
Like guys like Batman and him, if somebody dies, it's in the process of trying to do the right thing. Punisher is like, you're on my list, I'm killing you.
Yeah, if you don't die, he thinks he did something wrong.
And Jigsaw are getting thrown through a window like Jigsaw. That's how he got his face. Punisher threw him through a window, tried to kill him. And he landed on all the glass, and he thought he was dead. That's the only reason why he got away. The Punisher looked over the window, thought he was dead, and it ended up being
the Punisher Wars on that. Actually, I really liked how they modified his origin, where he falls into the glass grinder and he gets his face all just completely destroyed.
And if you read the Punisher miniseries, the Jigsaw's in prison with him, so he's trying to get his revenge. But all the prisoners are like, "Don't you know who that is?" Yeah, that's Frank Castle. No, that's the Punisher. And then all the criminals are like, they've all had buddies killed by him. They're like fucking with him. They try to attack him in the shower, and he kills like 3 of them with a towel. He's armed with a towel, and he kills these fools, snapping necks. Punisher, read Child's Play. It was a story where Frank Miller wrote. It was right after Elektra died. We should cover that one day, and it's a great. It's about drugs being sold. Heroin, as a matter of fact, it was heroin being given to kids. And it's bad. It's laced. It's bad, and the kids are dying. Like on playgrounds, they're dying. This is like early mid '80s. That's what Frank Miller and Chris Claremont were. We weren't allowed to talk about that shit in school. We weren't allowed to talk about kids and drugs. The only thing you were allowed to say is just say no. And Nancy Reagan, and all that. That's how much you knew about drugs, and don't do it. We didn't get the details of crack and all this stuff, but Frank Miller putting that shit in the comic book. And that's why, I like this series, is because, they come as close as anybody ever will. And the MCU would have never, thank God for Netflix, because the MCU would have never developed a Daredevil like that.
Yeah, and that's what I always really liked about all of Marvel Netflix, was the fact that was the tone of it. It was the same reason I was enjoying, I liked what Zach had established with the DC. Tonally is that it was, but especially with the direct Marvel comparisons, that it was a nice counterbalance to what we were seeing theatrically with the MCU. It was very family friendly, it was very colorful, it was very jokey, it was fun popcorn adventure, kind of tone for the MCU movies. And then on Netflix, you had again, it was more down to earth. It was a little bit more adult. It was it was kind of dark. It was definitely R-rated. Every single one of those shows.
And here's the thing, though: the things that Marvel, the MCU portrayed as colorful and popcorny that's accurate. But the things that Netflix portrays as darker tone were. So it's like, Marvel, the MCU was doing exactly what the comics were doing for the most part of these characters. They just weren't using characters like Daredevil and things like that, because, like I said, when you read Daredevil, it's especially it's because Frank Miller established that whoever's writing Daredevil, just leave them the fuck alone. Whoever's writing Daredevil, you're going to get the best story out of them if you just leave them alone. You don't try to censor them. If there's drugs in the story, then that's part of the story. If there's a porn star in the story doing porn, implying porn, which is Karen Page, then that's part of the story. All you're going to do is hurt the story by trying to make Daredevil into the rest of your characters. That's why Daredevil is always off in his own corner, because whoever's writing them, Ann Nocenti, when Ron Ramirez run with Typhoid Mary is a very brutal and very disturbing character.
When she's they portray that with her very strongly in Iron Fist season 2. With her dissociative identity disorder, and like how that again, it's like a night and day kind of switch that gets flipped in her.
I wish she hadn't been in Iron Fist, though. I wish
you preferred her in Daredevil.
She didn't belong in Iron Fist. That just doesn't, that association just doesn't make any sense. She's a Daredevil, and the reason why is because it's part of Matt Murdock's woman problems. I mean, every woman he bangs has got something wrong with him or her. Elektra is an assassin, but hey, she's hot. Yeah. Typhoid Mary is a schizophrenia, but she's hot and she's a killer. She's working.
Black Widow is a former assassin, but yeah,
but she was sane. Typhoid Mary was an assassin working for the Kingpin. So the dynamic in Iron Fist just didn't make any sense. She should have never been in Iron Fist. She should have been in a Daredevil story, and primary and only because she doesn't. If you notice in the comics, she's not in any of those. Because her association is with Matt Murdock, so I don't know.
But anyway, that's what I really appreciated as the yin and yang, that Marvel Netflix embodied to the MCU movies. And that's seems to be, and I'm hoping that's what the overall for Daredevil Born Again is meant to take it to, is that we really need to the contrast of the street level heroes that we saw on Netflix, bringing that back with Daredevil. It's like that really benefits us to have the kind of the night and day kind of difference between you have the heroes that are associated with the Avengers versus the heroes that are more associated with the Defenders.
I don't know what it is about the word Defenders, because of the way they use it in Netflix as a joke. I'm sorry, as the way they those characters were cool characters. But that group was the way they did it, and I think that's what hurts me. What makes it hard for me to like most of it, is because they didn't need to do that. Those characters are okay as support characters, period. The Defenders is something totally different. That's something that's not Defenders is not street level.
Well, yeah, because it started out with like Hulk and Doctor Strange and Namor and Not all those characters, other than and she has been since, but they had all been Defenders at various points, but they weren't like the starting lineup.
Yeah, and you have like, they're more of a Marvel Knights type of thing, but even then, they're not. I don't think they're served well by being put in a collective anything. I think they're served well as showing up on as support characters, for the most part. Even Jessica Jones, for the most part, she's probably the only one, to be honest with you, that I think works on her own, because she can work with other people, but they need to be support characters. I don't need a whole thing with them. There's just not enough story there for a Defender story. And there wasn't. That's why some of that stuff, not all of that stuff was good. I'm glad we're getting the good stuff back. But I need them to be careful and remember, some of that stuff didn't land.
Maybe a future turning point story should have me bring up Immortal Iron Fist, because that was where I got into the character, and that was a turning point for me. So maybe I should do that one at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an individual turning point. I just think that, like I said, what they were there was no category, there was no separation necessarily for what they were. It's just the nature of what those heroes were is what they were. Daredevil was a defender of a ghetto, and all those people were pretty much from that area. That's pretty much their distinction. Is they're all from a common area, lower income area. They're defending lower income people. Iron Fist was one of his main things. And then the rest of them were people like Halloween. They were people who helped people who couldn't afford it. There was a lot of books in the 70s and 80s like that, but then there was also the regular stuff too that was right alongside it. It's just I don't.
And here's the weird thing too that that they did because he also falls into that category you just described but they took him very much in the opposite direction with Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was he was always he was associated with Daredevil and Iron Fist and Luke Cage. He was one of the street level heroes. But he they took him into like a much more fantastical area with this movie. I like the movie a lot, but it was
Shang-Chi was a mystical on the level of things. Like you saw if you read Master of Kung Fu, Shang-Chi's all over the place. He's all over the place. He wasn't the most popular, as far as like he wasn't a main line guy, but he was, Master of Kung Fu. They bought it back a couple of different times, actually.
I've read Master of Kung Fu, and but just because I've been thinking for the longest time, it's like that was really his ideal place was alongside the Netflix characters. But and again, I'm not like second guessing their decision to give him a movie. I'm just
I don't see him. Me personally, this is just coming from the comic because you're coming from a totally different perspective than I am, so which is good. When I read him growing up, he was always with the fantastical people of the MCU. He was never a street level guy. He just, it might seem that way because he didn't have powers, but he was in Doctor Strange. He would team up with. He actually did team up with what's his face Wong.
So there was one point he even like creates this is more modern, but he creates he creates the way of the spider specifically for Spider-Man, like his own form of kung fu for Spider-Man. So I
wouldn't put Shang-Chi with Colleen Wing and Iron Fist. I wouldn't put them in. They can interact, but I don't think he would be classified as such a character because those characters, for the most part, you wouldn't see Iron Fist messing around with Reed Richards sometimes, you would see Shang-Chi or Doctor Strange. You would never see Doctor Strange in those books, but you would see Doctor Strange with Shang-Chi. So I guess it all depends on what era, but like I said, I don't know. Bottom line for me is I just don't know if there's enough steam or regard for them as shows as they are for just characters who showed up in the two most popular shows.
Well, like it might be like what you're saying, it might be like again, like you said, different eras of because I'd read a lot of the Shang-Chi like the Marvel Max series they did with him, which was really brutal and which I really loved. that was taking him down to he was fighting more of like a street level kind of secret agent war, and of course traditionally he doesn't Shang-Chi doesn't have powers, so
he has skills that kind of lead him in. Why do I need a producer, Spider-Man?
We went on a whole like.
Oh, as you said, because we're ignoring them in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, here I'll turn that over to you then.
Oh, Aaron says you've never seen any of the Marvel shows, huh? On Netflix.
A lot of people. They did not market those shows very well.
I think Daredevil that's probably why he's first up to return because he was the first one. He led the whole enterprise, and he was the most popular out of all of them.
Because he's Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's idea of Aaron. It's well, since I've got you started on the raid, Aaron. In fact, actually, that was the one thing that was really, and I'm sure William, you probably agree with me on this now, having seen it. That the fight scenes in Daredevil were definitely very heavily influenced by the raid movies, like those hallway fights, and that's another thing. It's like what they're born against, like that's non-negotiable for me. It's like those it's such a staple to show those one-shot hallway fights. It's like you can't abandon those on that. And it's like they definitely got brutal, definitely probably more so than they would expect for a Disney Plus show. But it's like no, that's just part of the character at this point.
Listen, man, we did your name before, but I don't want to fuck it up. I think you said it was
Yorichi Soifan.
Yorichi Soifan. Okay. The math here is just not in support of this. When's the last anime movie that? What's the most successful anime movie? Period.
It's probably Alita. It's probably Alita, and that did 405, I think.
Okay. So we're talking Ant-Man is a failure at 500 million, or we're questioning them the morals of making that movie because it only made 500 million. Most superhero movies will bomb at like 300 or 400 million. You got to understand that action movies, yes, but action movies and superhero movies are kind of one and the same. But you have movies like Beekeeper. You'll have big budget video game movies. Outside
I think they're starting to get there now.
Yeah, I think we're like so far away from them being. Now, as far as them being better, that's subjective. That's up to you. That's going to be your opinion. But as far as financially viable, you have Mario Brothers, but everybody and their grandmother knew who that was for I knew Donkey Kong's been around for 45 years. So you've had things like that have built a brand name. But for in general, Mortal Kombat was garbage.
Yeah, but it's still like as far as like video game properties being translated to film, it's still undisputed that it's the one that's had the most track record of success, even with like Annihilation, which is amazing to say. But
if you say so, all of those movies sucked in my opinion. Yeah. But and they didn't do great financially, but they didn't all bomb either. But you put it up there against like a Mario Brothers, like you said, Mortal Kombat is not universally loved. Everybody knows Mario.
Well, and also Mortal Kombat, it's like it's kind of intended to be rated R. It's not intended to be
like a kids game that your kids aren't even supposed to play. Listen once again. Here we go with the anime thing. You guys are gonna have to start showing me some math and like discernible math, not from your buddy and this and then like I said, some of that math is kind of crazy because when you look at total units sold, who is buying the units and who's selling the units? Total units bought from distribution versus total units sold by retailer. That bottom number, that's me. I need to know that because that's me spending my money. If we're going with total units sold at distribution, that means the company prints them out and then Diamond buys them and our bronze, the main people buy them. How much are they selling beyond then, and how long is it taking to sell them? Because remember, when some things sit on your shelf, they depreciate in value not as far as like value, as far as like markup value, but you spent that money, then you need that money back sooner or later. It's like a whole bunch of other things. But no, superhero movies, we're not having this conversation about superhero movies if the ones that are out are good. But when they put out good ones, then there's none of these categories are going to be able to stand up.
And even we've had ones that are out there good this year that just been released in bad situations.
Yeah. When Spider-Man 4 comes out, are we going to be having a conversation that action movies, video games, and anime are overtaking that? No. The movie was going to make well over $1 billion. And when Fantastic Four comes out, when X-Men come out, we're not going to be having these conversations.
Yeah. Vince says, me either, Aaron. Are you talking about what she said about she hasn't seen any Marvel Netflix? Okay, well, I'd say check those out.
A lot of people. I would gather that most people have not.
Well, I would say give them a look, guys, because
they're great. Go see them. But yes. I'm starting to get the feeling from my conversations with people that a lot of people haven't seen these, and we're gonna have to do our own. Now what's going to happen though. It's not going to matter because most people saw them for the first time when they figured out No Way Home. Who is that? We want to know. And once he gets his new series, that's going to go out the window. Everybody who watches Daredevil on Marvel or on Disney is going to go back and see.
Yeah, because the shows they've moved from Netflix to Disney Plus. So
and now that we know that they're canon, that's all the more reason. That's going to strengthen the shit out of those shows.
And Aaron, Vince, like as I was saying earlier with Iron Fist, okay, just start from Defenders, okay.
He's not going to give this up, is he?
Don't hold season 1. Okay.
The raid was a winning battle for you. I don't know about this one.
Just start from Defenders and watch his Luke Cage appearance, and then get to season 2, which is amazing. Okay, that's you have to trust me on this. All right. Take my word on that, Aaron and Vince. All right, let me stop. Let me get off my soapbox there and check out some of the
chat. Speed Racer was the most successful anime film.
No, it's cultivated a following, but it's like it was a financial failure in its time.
Oh, okay. That's what he meant. Okay, sorry. blame Brad because Brad's trying to defend all this crazy shit. And I'm not going against him, but I'm just trying to be realistic about some of these things he's bringing up.
Well, we let Chappie defend all kinds of crazy shit.
We give Chappie 5 minutes to do it, though. We know he had no chance that night. He came in, and I told him, "Hey, Chappie, you want to come in? You want to come in?"
I know.
No chance.
I know everyone's favorite Lantern. Oh yeah, who is everyone's favorite Lantern? Hal Jordan.
Oh, Hal Jordan.
Here's a good one from Ray. Wayne T. Carr at the premiere Rebel Moon made me think we might see him on screen soon. Yeah, because he's not in the movie as it is on Netflix right now. So yeah, that did kind of raise my eyebrows a bit. So he might be in the extended cut, or he might be in part 2.
Might just be a friend supporting.
Yeah, it could be that too.
I mean, I would love to see him again, but just be a friend. I mean, I thought I got a chance to talk to the guy on, and he helped spread the word about our campaign, though. So
I've seen his interviews where he's such a good sport about the whole thing about it's like he gets the role of a lifetime, then the studio politics happen, but he is so gracious about it. Wayne, if you're watching, it's like it's a awesome dude, man. It's like definitely would love to see your Green Lantern, but wish you all the best in everything else.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would love to see that again, but who knows? I'm just gonna let time handle it.
Yeah. So that photo of him as Green Lantern, of course, is just going to hover out there for people raise questions about that more and more. Dork Knight says Alan Scott is my Green Lantern. He's a different kind of breed.
He lost dude when he came out because they made him gay.
Yeah,
a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that." I'm like, dude, you did not know because the headlines was Green Lantern comes out. You fuckers did not even know who Alan the fuck Scott was before he came out. That's the same thing with North Star. Oh, this is an outrage. You didn't know who he was. You didn't know who Alpha. You didn't know any of this stuff. Headline came out. Oh, we need to ban comic books. Comic books are come on. Now it's different when they have the characters that have been established, like when they had Jonathan Kent or when they had other characters that are established, and they do that. Because I don't mind that kind of inclusion and everything, but are you change it when different writers do it because that's what they want for the character, and it's characters that have been around a long time? I'm like, ooh, that's a tough one. I can I'm not a homophobe at all, but I don't like major changes in characters that have been around that long. I would just rather make a new character. You know what I mean? I'm all for just making a brand new character to explore that way because, like I said, when you start changing the nature of characters that have been around 50, 60, 70 years, it's hard. It's hard because you cannot discount the fact that that's the way that person was around. It's just different. So it's kind of weird. But the Alan Scott, man, I remember when that happened. Oh my goodness, people were like,
well, even before that, I mean, he's also he's of the era of Jay Garrick, the Flash, where it's like they're
machismo, man.
Well, not just that, but also like their origins and the nature of their powers are so different from like the subsequent iterations.
Oh yeah, his is magic. Exactly. It was cool though because in Emerald Twilight, when all the Green Lanterns, when Hal Jordan destroyed the power battery, and all the Green Lanterns lost their power, he was the only one that could. He was the one that found got in touch with Kyle Rayner to tell him exactly what happened and what he was up against because his powers were unaffected because his powers come from different stores. So, yeah.
Aaron says you hear Nev Campbell returns. Yeah, I did see her comments.
She took advantage. She's going to take advantage of that money. They'll pay her now, won't they? They have
no, she's going to be. She's like sitting somewhere like Thanos, going, "It's like all your failure. Where'd that lead you? Back to me."
She's the guy from Dark Knight sitting on that pile of money.
Yeah,
that's what it was about with her.
She's fireproof.
Yeah, they didn't make an offer that she thought was what she wanted. She knew her own worth, and you know what? Circumstances have let them back because you ain't making. After that they fired the one girl. And then Jenna Ortega found a way not to be into that shit.
Yeah,
like I got something to do. What is it? I don't know, but it's something besides your movie.
She could afford to walk away too because of Wednesday. Vince says.
By the way, worst death scene in a movie. Her death scene, and which is, by the way, an overrated and I don't think a great movie. X. I won't spoil it for you guys, but I'm like, wow, you went out. there you go. There you are. There you go.
So, yeah,
I
Vince,
really, somebody's like, William, you got to see action. You got to see Pearl. I saw them both. I didn't like either one of those movies. To be honest with you. What
I
did
thought
you
they
think?
were right. I thought they were right. I mean, they weren't. I wasn't blown away necessarily, but I mean, they were bad. I thought,
I mean,
but
I put it in the category of Barbarian, which was disappointing. But Barbarian was actually X and Pearl were bad movies for me from the beginning all the way to. I just didn't. They never got me. Barbarian did, and the ending of Barbarian was just like I felt like Jordan Peele snuck in and took over the movie. It's like, oh, the ending of this is going nowhere, and I'm seeing a because I have like ADD tonight. I guess I'm seeing a trailer for Argyle. I cannot wait to promote this movie. This movie looks like complete batshit bullshit fun.
yeah,
Unbelievable, just unbelievable mess of a movie. But that's and it seems like it recognizes that's what it is.
yeah. Well, speaking of unbelievable mess of a movie, Vince says nothing is worse than Captain America 1990. Yeah,
You don't like Matt Salinger with the rubber ears and
Red Skull, who's Red Skull for 5 minutes, and then gets his
he doesn't
plastic
even look
surgery.
like a skull. Just looks like a guy with the cracks and stuff on his red head. I mean, you
I
didn't
saw
like that one?
I saw that probably when I was like, how old was I? I was probably 10 or 11 when I first saw and
I was 14 and it was horrible.
Yeah, it's definitely no
better than the 70s one, but be back in the day, that's all we had.
Yeah,
that's Captain America that was on TV.
Oh, yeah, with the motorcycle helmet. Ooh, boy.
With the motorcycle helmet with the wings.
If you think 1990s Captain America's bad,
remember his shield's like a clear shield
that was like red and transparent.
Yeah. And I'm like, the motorcycle wasn't even hard. It was awful. But that, you know what? We were excited about that because we didn't have this shit.
Yeah, because we didn't have like people throwing like actual budgets for visual
effects. That's like Thor. When Incredible Hulk returns and it was Thor.
He's a Viking. He's literally a Viking. There's no. He's just he's dressed his costume. He's a Viking with a hammer.
And then it was then Daredevil.
Yeah, well, Daredevil. I mean, again, that suit actually had impact on the character's history. So it's like Daredevil.
I don't get 14-year-old me at that time. I'm only going to get to see this kid. First time I see this kid, you need to have him in the red with the double D. I don't want the history lesson. I know the history lesson. Like, I mean, make him look like, I mean, the Hulk was green.
Yeah. Well, they wanted the showrunner actually apparently he wanted to make him red because like red was the color of rage. So he's like, oh, it was more fitting. But and eventually we got a Red Hulk. But
yeah, we got a Red Hulk, and that was reason. But like I said, the problem is that those TV shows, and that's all we had.
Oh, the Spider-Man one from the 70s too. That one.
Nicholas Hammond. Nicholas Hammond is clearly on strings that they did not try to hide. Oh, he's not even touching the walls, dude. He's climbing up and down the walls. He's this far away from the walls. I'm like, that's Spider-Man power.
Hold on,
and remember they did the Clone Saga. They did the Clone Saga. They cloned him in there too because that was the Clone Saga. Oh my God, Nicholas Hammond. And he had remember the wrist things he had, the big silver buckles on his wrist? Oh my goodness. But you know what? When I watched that, I was having a ball. It's not cheesy till I look back on it now and like, oh my God. I used to get so excited about these things, and now it's like,
because they had that like Blockbuster. They had the episodes like repackaged as like movies, and oh man, I to see. Yeah, because that was the only live action Spider-Man we had at that point. It's
and Electric Company. The Electric Company one. All he did was this shit.
Yeah, it's like you were like, I'll take what I can get. I'm pulling that intro up right now because this is like, this actually, at that, if you can believe it.
While he's getting that up,
first Raimi one.
Cowboy fans across the nation, I didn't put the Hex on your team, so don't blame that shit on me today. I did not. I decided, you guys have been through enough. Most of my Cowboy buddies weren't even alive the last time they won a Super Bowl, so I decided not to put a Hex on your team. But holy shit, did I not need to? 45-16 at one point. Dak looked horrible. He got picked off. I mean, the Packers went into Jerry's world while Jerry is up there watching, and they just kept pointing to him, and they kept pointing to Mark McCarthy, and like, okay, fire Mike McCarthy because your ass is getting fired. There's no way you keep your job. And then the Rams and the Lions. Holy shit! We're not going to call pass interference ever again. the last play, the dude all ripped up. So I'm watching the highlights now. I'm like, that's why I couldn't bet on sports, because we would be doing this show from the homeless shelter, because I wouldn't be able to figure out shit. You got it pulled up yet?
Yeah, I got it right here. So yeah, here was the intro to the 70 Spider-Man.
Oh, I remember. Oh no, you're gonna give me flashbacks.
Oh, this is again, like 8-year-old, 9-year-old me. It's like I was reacting. If you can believe it,
9-year-old me was reacting to it, because that's when that already
yeah, it was. You felt like even this felt like seeing the credits to the first Raimi movie, even though it's like, yeah, as stupid as it sounds to look back on it like that.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh my God, look at the eyes. Look at him climb. Look, he's not even touching the wall.
This is so radioactive spider bite.
So bottom boy.
That's Jameson. There's a Jonah Jameson.
Oh, Cliff Hill.
Oh, look at that wall crawling there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was.
There was a time
we were young. We didn't know any better.
When I saw that as a kid, I was like, I have to watch this, and I'm glad I have lived a life that has spanned to the cheesiness up till now, because that was like what you saw there back in the day, because it was already repeats and canceled by the time I saw it, but it was still running in syndication. That was top tier shit. What did we have?
Yeah, that was the best.
Kids today, you kids today with your CGI and your
No Way Home, like
practical effects.
And Across the Spider-Verse, getting every
hybrid human cartoon stuff. You guys had that beat at Roger Rabbit, okay? Oh my God, man, I feel so old.
Imagine like Beyond the Spider-Verse, like they have a cameo for Nick Amos.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had him in. If we missed him, because there was like 238 Spider-Man in that movie, or B, if he's in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Dude, is bonkers. Where are they gonna go with Beyond the Spider? That movie's gonna be batshit crazy, man.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying Holland.
I mean, you've already had Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham was a joke.
No, Holland's gonna have a cameo. There's no way Holland doesn't have a cameo in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
I'm surprised he hadn't already had one.
Yeah. They kind of kept it at Maguire and Garfield, just showing kind of archive footage of them, and then they had Prowler. They had his cameo to kind of connect him to the MCU. And then
my throat. They're gonna take Spider-Man back. See, the Prowler was in the movie. I mean, no, they're not. You notice he was in a cartoon movie with them. They own that version of the character too. Sony owns that version of that character.
My audience went crackers when they saw his cameo.
So did mine. It was like, but like I said, it was like, okay, great, but that doesn't mean that they're ever going to give Miles Morales. Like I said, the person who does that. Hold on for a second.
Yeah, well, also I'm going to do, because now
pull on some chats, because I need to.
Actually, Vince is saying this because this came out of his Captain America comment. I'm going to see if I can pull up any clip or anything from 1990 Captain America, because.
Oh Lord. Okay. I think they burnt all that. Burnt all that footage, didn't they?
No, it's still here. And the thing about it is, Matt Salinger, he actually wasn't a bad choice. I don't think for Steve Rogers.
No, and when I heard about it, because they featured this on Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah, because they were trying to like push it, into like position as a big blockbuster, and that didn't end up working out for him. I mean, they had billboards, they had posters planned for it, and ended up going straight to video back then. And that was back when straight to video was like that. That was actually bad. A stigma. That was it's not. It's kind of reversed now. Where it's like it actually, especially if you martial arts for that, that's almost like a badge of honor. But back then, that was a scarlet letter.
Right, that was just to make any kind of money that they could. Any money that they could make off it to salvage it.
Yeah, let me show you a clip of the first fight scene from the Captain America and Red Skull. You think we'll get pulled down for this? Do you think anybody is going to get up in arms about this?
I don't know if anybody cares. We just play like 20 seconds of it.
Okay, this is the first appearance of Red Skull in the 1991 for anyone who hasn't seen it. And this is the only appearance of him as Red Skull, because then it jumps ahead 50 years, and he's got plastic surgery, and now he's got
that's right. Yeah, he's not even Red Skull.
Yeah, he's only Red Skull the first time you see him, and then yeah. Okay, here it is. This is the first Captain America kind of storming the Nazi base, and
oh my God! Look at that color.
Oh man, look at that. By the way, the Red Skull in this movie, but he's Italian and German. Just when I am needing help with my English lessons. Yes, I have memorized lines in this movie.
All right, turn it off.
Oh, by the way, Captain America also in 1990, he on his first mission, he gets his butt kicked by Red Skull, and they get strapped to a rocket, and it's shot to the White House, but he manages to kick it off course, and that's when he ends up in the North Pole and gets frozen for 50 years. So that's Captain America's origin story in 1990.
Not gonna lie, the reflective eyes of Nicholas Hammond's suit, and apparently Alex Ross does too. Yeah, he does use those.
Yeah.
Yes, because Spider-Man's eyes are actually not supposed to be white; they're actually reflective. But in the comics, they've always been gingiva and white.
Yes, but again, Captain 1990. It's like it was the same thing with like 70 Spider-Man. It's like that's all we were getting at that point as far as like live action.
I mean, we didn't have all this other shit, dude.
And like with DC, it was just as far as live action, it was Superman. It was the Christopher Reeve Superman. It was the Keaton Batman, and then
those are years apart.
Well, not also I would include the original Flash TV show. But that was about it for like DC live action wise. Well, also you had Linda Carter, her show in there, but I mean that was pretty cheesy.
We're only watching for little boys are only watching for one reason.
Yeah, that's true. But then Marvel, it's like they couldn't get it. I mean, the first thing they tried was Howard the Duck, so they couldn't get a live action hit back then to save their lives, and that was because they were, it was things the 70s era TV shows they tried to mount. The only success they had was Incredible Hulk, and then Captain America 1990. It's like, yeah, it's just that one's kind of a.
That Spider-Man was like literally bleeding 70s, man. Which is
well, and that's the thing about the Captain America one too. It's from the 90s, but it looks like it's from the 70s.
Yeah, it's awful. All right, guys, we are at an hour and a half, and I think we've covered whatever the hell we were supposed to be covering tonight. I don't think I had a topic. I just think we were wandering. We've gone time travel back to an area that makes me feel even older than I actually am. So don't forget, keep your eye out on YouTube, keep your eye out on Twitter, all the social media, as I will be making an announcement. We will be putting up, the visuals and this and stuff, and for the watch along, that will happen 2 p.m. this Saturday afternoon, which will be Army of the Dead. I gotta say it slow, or I'll say Army of Darkness.
Yes, you gotta get that down,
Army of the Dead. So we'll be watching that, and we'll be aiming to go from let's see if we can get 7,000. Right now we're still at 5,250. Let's see if we can get 7,000.
Yeah, I think 10 grand is definitely between now and when part 2, when Scargiver drops in April. I think that's very achievable, especially with how much people really just came out with so much generosity on New Year's Eve. Then again, we just cannot thank you guys enough for that.
Yeah, we got to keep keep it in their memories though, because like I said, it's one of the things I haven't had a chance to do is really press it, but I will. All right, pound 988 suicide and crisis lifeline 24/6 call, text, or chat. Who knows? I may change this graphic. I mean, this one is fitting. It puts it out there, but I think you guys might. I just want to make sure you guys don't get desensitized to all this stuff like this, and it just doesn't become me reading. Everything I'm reading you, everything we're doing is attached to real life people in real life situations. So I might switch it up again just so I get your guys' attention because we can be hypnotic. You hear something over and over again, it becomes repetitive. So we're gonna switch it up. But until then, it's what I have. So I will see you guys. Might take a break off. If my head's still hurting tomorrow, I'll probably take a break. If not, you'll see me again. Brad, where can you find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Vero. You can find me here and there on Facebook. You can check out all my writing on all kinds of good nerd shit on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rants. You can find me here getting blamed for lots of things on the Sci-Fi Center.
Horrible, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's the matter. That's all in the eye of the beholder. And actually, probably on that note, like perfect comment to wrap up on. Brad, I saw Captain America 1990 on broadcast TV. I was 8 or 9. I thought it was good then. Unwatchable as an adult.
Well, that's like Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man we just showed. That was the shit back then. But now, oh my goodness. I watched it. I was excited. I bought the Spider-Man doll because that show came with they had a doll out for it, the Spider-Man doll, and you had to do a web and you could hang it from your ceiling. I love that. It was cheesy.
Captain America. I mean, I saw that when he gets knocked off the cliff at the end. I thought, oh man, I can't wait for that sequel.
Oh Lord! All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Later, guys.